Hello all and welcome to video classes by Konnur Institutes. Today we will be discussing the shutdown point. So let's understand what this shutdown point means. See, when a firm is into the manufacturing or into the production, firm is being started with the motto of earning profit, right? So when a firm is not making profit, what does it do? What is the next step for a firm, or what is the next decision a firm takes? Either to shut down the company or to make some innovations in the production process and start earning the profits, right? So this shutdown point is a point wherein a firm exits from the market. Is nothing but it shut down its production processes. So this is a short run graph and this is the long run graph. So which is the shutdown point in the short run and in the long run we will understand. See, in the previous class we have discussed that the supply curve. This is the area wherein the firm will not wishes to produce any of its output. Why? Is because the price is less than the average variable cost, right? So, and after this is the after this point, whatever the short run marginal cost curve we are seeing, this is being derived as the supply curve, right? So this is the point in the short run. If the firm is going through the short run, this is the point which is called as the shutdown point. Why? Is because if the company comes somewhere about here or somewhere here, then what happens? You can see we have already discussed about this, wherein there is no production which is happening in this area, right? So if company is in this situation or in this situation or in this situation, you can consider any situation below the average variable cost, company is going to exit from the market. So this is the shutdown point. After this, if the company comes down, then it's going to close its company in the short term. Okay. So anything above this is a profit maximization for a company. Let's understand in the long run. So this is the area which we call it as the no production area or a zero output level. So here this is the point, and after this whatever the curve we are saying, we derive it as the supply curve of the firm in the long run. Similarly, this is also the supply curve. I am talking about this curve, this line, okay? So this is the supply curve of a firm in the short run. So in the long run, the supply curve which cuts the average cost at this point, this is called as the shutdown point. So if the company is somewhere down this area, in this area, then the company may earn losses, or it may go into losses. So this is the point we derive it as the shutdown point. So if it is above this, then the company is making its a profit maximum. So we need to understand, if a company is in this situation, then it is into a critical situation. It needs to make some changes in the production so that in the upcoming days or in the future days, what can a company may have the situation is, it may start earning the profit. If it is below this area, then they are going to take out their business from the market. So this is how we decide or we understand the shutdown point. Next, we have the normal profit and the break-even point. So what is normal profit? So when we have started a firm, what is our expectation? What is our prior expectation? Is nothing but the profit, right? So normal profit is that profit which is helpful for a person to carry out his business. Okay, if at all he is not making huge profit, at least some amount of profit is holding him to stand in the market, right? So that kind of profit is called as the normal profit. And there is also another profit which we call it as the supernormal profit. So what is this supernormal profit? Something which is more than the normal profit, we call it as the supernormal profit. I have told you, right, a huge profit, right? So a company which is making huge profit is nothing but the supernormal profit, right? It's not just maintaining the profit to stand in the market, but also whatever the changes they might have done in the production process, maybe the technology or maybe the input prices or maybe the input raw materials, whatever they have involved in the production process, whatever it might be. So with that, what the company is earning is a huge profit. That we call it as the supernormal profit. And then what is this break-even point? Break-even point is also called as the point wherein a company is not also earning profit and not also into losses. We call it as no loss or no profit point also. So which is that point? Let's understand, right? So we have known this, right? This is the area we will never come, or wherein the company will not produce any of its units in this area, right? So this is the point we call it as the break-even point, wherein the supply curve cuts the short-run average cost. So this point we call it as the break-even point. Why? Because this is wherein it is not in this situation also, not into loss also, and not also it's making any profits. So in the long run, a firm does not produce if it's anything less than the normal profit. So in the long run, what happens if the normal profits? In the short run, what can be done is, even the normal profits a company is not earning, it still can run its business. But in the long run, this is not the situation. If it is earning less than the normal profit, then it has to exit from the market. In the short run, however, it may produce even less than the profit, it still can exist in the market. So, the point on the supply curve at which the firm earns only the normal profit is called as the break-even point. So, a firm or a company which is making just the normal profit, it's called as the break-even point. So, the point of minimum average cost at which the supply curve cuts the long run average cost. So, the minimum, so this is the supply curve, whereas it is, this intersects here, right? So, this is BEP, which is break-even point in the long run. And in the short run, if it cuts the short run average cost, the supply curve which is intersecting or which cuts the short run average cost, here we find the break-even point. So this is how we understand the shutdown point and the break-even point. So break-even point is the point wherein it's not into losses and not into profits. So we also call it as no loss, no profit point, right? So here in this long run, where the supply curves or the long run marginal cost curve which intersects the minimum of the average cost, we call it as the break-even point. But in the short run, the supply curve or the short run marginal cost curve which cuts or which intersects the short run average cost, that point we consider it as the break-even point. So we have understood which is the shutdown point and which is the break-even point. So here you can see this is the shutdown point and this is the break-even point. Even if the company is below this, it still can exist in the market. But in the long run, a firm, if it is in the long run, if it is not earning a normal profit, then it will be exiting from the market. So these are the two important things which we also need to understand in economics. So now let's understand what is opportunity cost, which we have already studied in our previous class, right? So what is opportunity cost? The name itself tells opportunity, and we have have lost that opportunity, so that losing that opportunity is costing for us, right? So let's understand it with an example. 1,000 rupees we have, and you have decided to invest in your family business. Okay? So you still have other options open, right? You can also keep this 1,000 rupees with you, which will not fetch any extra amount, right? So zero interest, what we say, right? It's not fetching anything by keeping that 1,000 rupees in our pocket, or maybe keeping it safe at our house, right? And also you have another option. You can even invest that into a bank, wherein bank is providing 12% interest on the deposit, right? But when you have decided to invest in the family business, then you have lost these two opportunities, right? Of keeping it with you safe at our house, and also investing that in a bank, wherein the bank is willing to provide you 12% rate of interest on the 1,000 rupees which you are depositing with them, right? So which is the highest opportunity, or which is the highest earning opportunity you are missing, is nothing but the bank which is providing you the 12% rate of interest, right? Keeping it at a home doesn't make that much sense, but losing this 12% rate of interest on that 1,000 what we are making the deposit is the opportunity cost which we are losing here. So we call it as the foregone opportunity which have been costed for us, or we can also say that the sacrifice cost. Okay, so this is how we understand the opportunity cost. So when you have decided to invest that 1,000 rupees in your family business, you have lost this opportunity. So this is the cost which you have lost. So we call it as the opportunity cost. I hope you have understood these 3 points which we have discussed in the today's class. One is the shutdown point, second is the normal profit or the supernormal profit, and next we have also discussed break-even point, right? And the last part was the opportunity cost. So these 3 points are very important for us to understand this concept in economics. In the next class, we will be discussing more on the determinants of the firm's supply curve. See you all in the next video class.